Well, good evening. It's very late. Normally I get started much earlier, but hey man, things are whatever they are, and that's the deal with that. I just got my fingers in a lot of different pies and doing a lot of different things. And so, anyway, it was busy. So, we're going to talk today about how to become a rune reader. I'm going to be giving away in this live Q&A. So if you're watching this after it's been archived, I'm sorry you're too late. We're going to be doing an experiment where I've already got a rune reading cast, and somebody on the Q&A, the lucky person, will guess what I'm thinking, the person that's closest to the number that I'm thinking. And I don't start guessing now because it's between a certain number, Don't start guessing until I tell you. The person who guesses it we will see if that is in fact you. But as I'm doing that, I'm going to be talking about how to do rune readings and specifically how to be a rune counselor. And I'm going to be talking to you, as you can see above, there's a website, runecertification.thunderwizard.com. I'm just going to double check that. I'm almost certain that's what it actually is. Let me see. runecertification.thunderwizard.com. And that is it. All right, so runecertification.thunderwizard.com is where you go if you want to become a certified rune counselor. Now, you can also, on that web page, that has all of my videos, and there's a couple more to come, on everything I've ever put on video about the runes. I think there's a few videos that are on my free channel that I haven't put up, but it's okay because I go into much more depth than those anyway. It's all of the videos that I have on my paid DVDs, which some of them, for whatever reason, I can't even find on Amazon anymore. But I think I have 6 DVDs on Amazon. There's 3 hours worth of Rune Shamanism videos on my free channel, which you can check out, but I've got it on this page. And there's another, I don't even know how many hours of rune readings and me going into the runes and talking about rune shamanism, rune meditation, advanced rune shamanism, how to use it in ritual, how to connect the runes to the 8 directions, the different of the deities of the 9 worlds. I go into every single thing that you can imagine in places, in ways that nobody's ever done before. I'm the first person to channel this, create it, discover it, however you want to look at it. But the point is that I make a good living doing what I do, and one of the things that I do, one of my most popular services, is I give 9 world rune readings. So I teach you how to do that. And in this live Q&A, I'm going to be talking about some other things that you need to know. Now, here are some other things that you can do as a rune reader. You can do what I'm doing, which is that you can have people call you on the phone, or if you want to Skype, or however you want to do that, FaceTime. What happens is people pay you for a reading, and you do a 9 world rune reading, which gives a snapshot of the person on all 9 levels of their being. We've talked about that, and I'll get into all of that as we go into this. But in my experience, it is the most, not to say that there aren't other possibilities. I'm just saying, for me, up till this point, it is the most powerful rune counseling tool that I have. You can use it just to say, hey, what do the gods want to tell me? Show me where I'm at. Show me what's going on in my life, what's going on an unconscious level, a superconscious level, what is coming, what is it that I need to do, how do I treat myself? How do I treat others? You'll find all kinds of issues in there. Because just sometimes one rune or, 2 or 3 runes isn't really going to tell you everything that you might want to know. You're going to want to, because sometimes you'll have an experience while you're experiencing everything is okay, but on an unconscious level, there's a big block. Or on a subconscious level, to intend your reality, there's a block. Or sometimes it's reversed, where your conscious experience of yourself is that you feel really blocked, but when you look at it, that is just a surface level minor block when actually things are going extremely well and you're just going through the shamanic transformation that happens. This is the kind of rune reading that gets very deep and very precise. So we're going to be talking about that, and of course, as I said, I'll be giving a free reading to anybody tonight. But there's other things that you can do with this rune certification. One, you can just simply use this knowledge for your own benefit and to help people, because it's important to you and or for fun, or you want to take your time learning. You can use it in your own private practice if you want to create a private practice, or if you already have spiritual, energetic healing services that you do. You can take this knowledge and make it part of that. And what I offer to people is if they go through the whole course and they get certified with me, which is very simple. All it means is that I will simply give you a reading layout, and I will ask you to interpret that as though it were my reading. That's all you have to do. And you don't even have to talk to me on the phone to do it. You can upload a video to YouTube, and I'll watch the video, and then I'll know whether or not you understand what's going on. It's really very simple. When you follow through, if you just follow the runes in order as I give them to you, you'll be on the phone for at least an hour. And if you choose to be certified by me and you pass the certification, then I will put your video on my site, and I will put a link on my site, and people can come to my site, and you will be a Thunder Wizard rune practitioner. So you will be certified by me. Now, if you don't want to go through that, not a problem. You can take the knowledge and do it on your own, become your own rune reader. Just don't use my name or the Thunder Wizard name. That's the only thing I ask. Other than that, the knowledge is yours to use however you see fit. But for those that want to work for me, that's what I give. And I was talking with somebody the other day, and it was the price that I charge for the certification. Really, all it covers is having my name attached to it, because I put you on my website right underneath me and my name, and then I give you your own web page that people can click and go directly to yours, and I will give you your own URL. It'll be whatever your name is, johndoe.thunderwizard.com. You can put that on business cards and flyers, or you can put it on your video and say, if you want to work with me, you can go here. It's your, people say, I don't know how to make a website. I'll do it for you. So really, when I think about it, that in and of itself is worth as much, if not more, than what I charge for the certification. But I really don't care. Because what's going to happen is, if you are certified with me, you are going to get paid, and you're going to give me a small percentage of that. And that's all that I really, care about. I'm really about empowering people and creating masters, creating teachers. I'm not interested in just having perpetual students. I want to create teachers. And so I've had a lot of success with this personally. I've had a lot of success with this professionally, using this 9-world rune reading. And the more that I do it, the more that I learn, and the more power that comes to me. So I want to spread the wealth, literally, and give you an opportunity to do that. But at the very least, it will be a very powerful tool in your arsenal, even if you don't want to make a living out of it. It will be indispensable for your spiritual and runic training. So That's what we're going to do. Before I do that, I'm going to go over some stuff that we've talked about before. I don't know if I can get it to... Can I get it to fit on here? Let me see. Give me a second here to play around with something here. Let's play around with that like that. Yeah, let's put that right there. Okay, now let's see if that works or not. Nope, wrong. Yep, it does. Now I completely forgot what I was going to do. Oh yeah, now I remember. We're going to take a look at the 9 worlds. So the 9 worlds of the world tree, right? So according to not just my ancestral tradition, but in my experience, I'm thinking just about every single indigenous spiritual belief system that I've worked with. And I have a phrase that I use which is extremely important, which is any tradition that has an unbroken connection into prehistory. So that means the Chinese tradition, you know, the Taoist tradition. That goes all the way back before people were even writing. This is what was the indigenous practice of those people. The Vedic tradition, the East Indian tradition, the Hindu tradition is the same one. That is the only surviving Indo-European tradition on the planet that has an unbroken connection all the way back into prehistory. If you want to look at the Norse tradition, which we have to do some sleuthing, which I've done in a lot of the things that I teach, we have to sort of go back and find out what they believed. And just looking at the Norse myths, for example, those myths are a window that has an unbroken connection into prehistory. Now, modern stuff, I don't have any judgments about them. A lot of them are really great. Obviously, I think that the modern religions, like Catholicism and Christianity, those are not traditions that have an unbroken connection into prehistory. Those are religions that were invented through, starting with the invention of Jehovah, the monotheist God, at around 330 BC. Before that time, all of the peoples that now worship the Abrahamic traditions, before that time, they were all polytheists and pagans, just like Europeans were. There's no difference. So, but even they, you look at some of the old myths, like the Akkadian myths and all of those mythologies, the Epic of Gilgamesh, and which the Bible stole all kinds of things from, Noah and all of that. Those are traditions that go back into prehistory. Anyway, I'm getting lost in minutiae here. The point is that whenever you're dealing with this kind of tradition, you're dealing with an unbroken chain of power. Now, point is that you can't, there are some traditions, modern traditions, I hesitate to use names, but I'm going to just know that it's not a blanket condemnation. Wicca. A lot of modern Western magic. A lot of modern Western magic uses Kabbalah and Christianity and Abrahamic and Islamic traditions. They may be very powerful, but they are not essences that go back into prehistory. So there is a power that goes back, that when you can trace it back, an indigenous practice that you can trace all the way back before the advent of writing, you will feel a power to it that you won't find in things that, I can't say all, but I would say in my experience, many things. Having said that, let me be clear. It is possible for people to receive new downloads of information. It is possible for people to receive new traditions and new lineages. So it is possible to have that power and to have it, not necessarily connected to tradition, an ancient tradition. But in my experience, that's where most of the power is in those traditions. So this is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with the runes. The runes, in my experience, are not something that's arbitrarily made up. We talked about this last week. But getting back to the 9-world rune reading. The 9-world rune reading deals with the 9 branches of the world tree. And on each one of these 9 branches there is a dimension, a spiritual plane of existence. And there are beings that live in that spiritual plane of existence. So let's take a look at what those 9 worlds are once again. According to, and by the way, even though this is my ethnic tradition, and the words and the symbolism that are used are from the indigenous religious practices of my ancestors, the meaning behind the different worlds, the directions in which I have placed them, and the symbolism is the same in multiple traditions all over the world that are not connected by culture or language. They may have some different symbolism attached to it. They may have some different words, obviously different language and religion and culture, but the meaning of each of those 9 worlds and the directions in which they are placed are identical. So just know when you're using this, regardless of what your background is, I don't have any racialist connection to this. I don't care what your ethnic background is. You are free. And I'm speaking on behalf of the gods. I am telling you this is coming from the gods. Odin, Thor, Freyja, Frey. They have said unequivocally that this is a human tradition, that this is power, that all humans have the ability to experience, that this is a gift, and it is the inheritance of all human beings, regardless of where you come from. So I don't care what you've heard from anybody else. So if you want to be a rune reader, I don't care where your background is or where your tendencies are. I will certify you. The only thing that I am going to want to know is whether or not you understand the concepts and that you can communicate those according to the way that I teach them. Other than that, there's no restriction. Okay, so here's what we want to look at here, which is the 9 worlds. So let's first look at the 9 worlds of the world tree and the directions in which they sit. Okay, I don't know if you could read that or not. So we're starting in the north, which was at the top. We have Niflheim, which is the home of the mist, the home of the sacred waters of life. Going in a clockwise fashion in the northeast, we have Asgard, which means the yard or the guard, the fortress of the As, the Os, which are the celestial deities. There are different kinds of deities. These are the celestial deities. Going to the east, we have Jotunheim, the home of the giants. And then we go to the southeast, which is the home of the dark elves, also known as the home of the dwarves. And then we go down to the south. This is the home of the fire demon Surt. This is the fire home. This is the realm where it's the opposite of the waters of life. Here we have the fires of destruction, fires of chaos. And then we move to the southwest, which is the underworld, Hell home, the home of the underworld known as Hell, that is governed by the goddess of the same name, Hela. Then we go to the west, which is the home of the terrestrial deities, the Wanes. So Vanaheim, the home of the Wanes, the home of the terrestrial deities, the deities of magic and fertility, of time and space. Then we go to the northwest, which is the home of the light elves, Ljosalfheim. Originally, there was no such thing as dark elves and light elves. That is a result of as time went on, the meaning of the word elf started to shift, and people started using elf to mean something else. But originally, elf, meant the shining ones. And this is where the name of the Alps comes from. The Alps. Imagine in Ice Age times, those Alps would have been covered with ice on a clear day. It didn't matter where you were, you would have seen these bright, shining, beacons of ice. And that's where they got their name, I believe, the shining ones. That is how the ascended masters of the human race appear to humans when you experience them. All you see are these beings of intense light. And they're called the shining ones, the Alpha. Those are the 9 worlds. And then, of course, we have Midgard, Middle Yard, the fortress in the middle, which is where human beings live. And there's only 2 fortresses. We have the fortress of the celestial gods, because the celestial gods cannot tolerate time and space and imperfection, and their wall was destroyed in the beginning of the universe when they fought with the gods of time and space, which are the Vanir. And we have one other fortress, which is the fortress of human beings, which is the middle fortress. We have to have a fortress where we live, because all of the directions of the 9 worlds are focusing in on our world. And so in order to deal with that intensity, we have to have a fortress to protect us from that. And for those of you who think that this world is a prison, let me flip that for you. Those of you who wish to escape this world because you think it's a difficult, cruel prison, I am here to tell you, again, from the gods. I'm telling this is coming to you from the mouths of the gods themselves. The most powerful place in the universe, is here on Earth. And here on Earth, we are the nexus point for all of the other 8 directions and all of the beings in those other 8 dimensions. All of that energy comes here. So instead of being a victim, man up, woman up, pull up your big boy or big girl pants and make use of this opportunity that you have. This is one of the things that this reading will do for you. Now, the 9 worlds. Let me see if do I have a picture? I do have a picture. Here is a layout of the 9 worlds. So without getting into that, the one in the center is Midgard, the north is Niflheim, and clockwise it's the same as when you're looking at this. Okay? And so each one of those directions, each one of those worlds, when you're looking at a 9-world rune reading, represents the 9 aspects of the human person. So from a shamanic psychological perspective, you are seeing the 9 aspects of the individual all in a snapshot. And so you can pinpoint exactly where the imbalance is in your life, or where the power is in your life. And you can then make decisions. The runes will tell you what exactly is happening, what you need to do to balance them. And in this, you can especially find that when you look at the books that I have, and when you do the rune certification, you'll learn about advanced rune shamanism, which teaches you how to balance runes and in different positions that are out of place. I talk about that in depth in the books and in those videos up here. So let's take a look at those the 9 minds of the human being according to this. So let's take a look at this, and then we'll talk some more. Okay, so is that clear? All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a short break. When I come back from the break, I'm going to be giving a free reading. Now we're going to do a little bit of an experiment because I did the reading and I took a picture of it, and it's right here waiting for us to take a look at it. Before we do that, you are going to have to pick a number between 400 and 450. The person who is closest to that number between 400 and 450 is the one, and it's not up to me. It's already happened. The choice has already been made. So whoever is closest to that number that I'm thinking in my head, between 400 and 450, is the one that this reading is about. So we'll take it from there. So let me take a short break, see if I can find my glasses, and then we'll come back and we'll talk some more, and I'll answer whatever questions you have about anything, but especially about runes in the Nine World. Rune reading. All right, be right back. Okie dokie. All right, let's take a look and see. Remember, this isn't me giving away a free reading. This was a reading for somebody. It's already been determined before you and I even decided to do it. The person who picks the right number is the one who it's for. It's not about me giving something away. I have nothing to do with it. I did the reading already. I laid the runes out already. If you pick the right number, it's about you. It's not nothing anybody can say about it. So let's take a look and see who's online here. So, all right. Again, if you're new to the channel, here's how this works. After this, you are going to only ask me questions. You are not going to write your opinions or say hello or talk to each other. I will bypass that. I don't want that. I just want your questions. The way I know you're asking me a question, you write the word question and then you write a very well thought out question that has proper spelling and grammar and I can understand it. Make sure that it's a question that has depth. If it's a silly, stupid question, I'm probably going to make fun of you. I don't want to do that. But I can't help myself. I want people to be smart. I want people to put effort into their life and to care about what they do and what they say. So, having said that, let us see who is correct. So, the number was, I haven't even looked at the answers yet. So the number, so no more guesses. After this, let's take a look and see what the last one. After Amy Meyer, oops, no guesses will be accepted. Sorry, Caddy, you're wrong, but you're too late. No more guesses. The correct number was between 400 and 450, 423. So let me see how close we get. Fidi Rida is 420. That's pretty funny as I think about that. They're very close. There's a 428 and a 412 and a 444 and a 427. Ooh, that's close. 415, 436, 439, 433. Okay, that's it. 420. Man, that's a really cool number, man. I'm 420 friendly, man. All right, 420. Afternoon, wherever this person is, it's actually 9:40 in the evening where I am. I'm getting a late start. So, the 250 Rida, 423 was the number. Let me just double check and make sure that I got that right. Nobody try and cheat because I'll know if you are. There's a 428, a 412, a 444, two 444s. 427, 415, 436. Is that everybody? Yep, four, that was it. So it is 450 Rider is the person who this reading is for. So let's take a look at that reading. Again, this was done earlier today. I'm not doing it now. This isn't a free reading I'm doing for this person now. Before I get to it, 450 Rider, you have to determine, do you have a question? I don't want to know it. Don't tell me what it is. Don't write your question if you have one. Did you have a question? Did you have a focus? You know the answer, yes or no. It's perfectly fine if you didn't. It will just tell me generally a snapshot of what's happening with you right now. If you did have a focus, think about it right now. You don't have to have one. Don't feel like you have to have one. Go with your first instinct. If your first instinct is you don't have a question, then don't ask a question. If you do have a question and the focus for the reading, think of it now. Okay? All right. So here we go. This is the answer and or this is what's happening with you. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to interpret the runes as they were laid out. Again, before I even got on, I laid them out. I'm going to interpret them as I see them. Then I'm going to ask you to tell me if there was a question, and then you'll tell me, but don't tell me now, I don't want to know. I'm just full of orders today. So let's take a look and see. Where did that picture go? Ah, I put it up here. Let's see if we can make this all work together. There we go. Okay, so here's your reading. I don't know if you can see it. I will open it up so you can take a look at all of it, and then I'll put it up in the corner again. Okay, actually, I can do this while I'm talking to you. Look at that. Okay, so you see that? That's your reading right there. So the first one that we want to look at is the one in the center. That is in Midgard, which represents your conscious awareness. So, if this is a question, then anyway, you will understand. But let me just go through it first. Excuse me, digesting my food. The middle one is Asgard, and here you have Isa. Hang on a sec, I have to redo this. There. Now you can see it better. That's what I'm trying to do. In the middle you have Isa, the rune of the self. Isa cannot be reversed. Now, let me dispel a myth. Just about every single rune book you look in will give you that Isa is a bad rune. It means ego. It doesn't mean ego in the negative sense. There is no such thing as a bad rune. It's impossible. The runes are the foundational energies of the universe. There's nothing negative about them. You might have challenges with them. They might be challenging for you, but they always empower you to achieve evolution. So please discard any rune book or any rune teaching that says any rune is a bad rune or dangerous or watch out or stop or, that's just nonsense. It bugs the crap out of me because those kinds of interpretations show a complete lack of understanding of the runes. It represents to me a psychological and a personal immaturity about it. Because if we're talking about the 24 base energies that make up the universe, because that's what they are, there's no such thing as a bad one. It doesn't exist. Isa is the rune of the self, the rune of the balanced ego. You have to have an ego. Isam is I. The letter is I, interestingly enough. Me, I. And it means icicle. An icicle is something you can look through. It's clear, you can look through it. So a balanced ego will be transparent. People will be able to see through to your true self. So in the middle here, this means that whatever we're talking about is that you are operating from a balanced sense of self, a healthy, balanced sense of self. Ego, when we use the word ego, like, listen to your ego, you're so full of yourself, your ego, we mean that when it's done in a derogatory fashion, it means that you actually don't have an ego. It means that you're overcompensating. When you overcompensate, then you're a tyrant, or the flip side of that is to false humility. The people who pretend to be humble all the time, when they get their toes stepped, they're the first ones to jump up and say how important they are and how dare you do that. Somebody who's in the middle, they don't care. They don't need to force their ego onto somebody else. They're okay with who they are, but at the same time, they're not going to let anybody step all over them. So, we're talking about, this is your conscious experience. By the way, I did find my glasses. Thank you for asking. Your conscious experience is that of an empowered self. Okay? Moving to the next rune is going to be up at the top. At the top, I wish I could point to it. I can't. Everything's backwards. The middle one on this line. Yuhuaj. Let me write that for you. There's been this is how you normally see it. It's normally written this way. Come back, where am I? Normally you see it written like this. Ehuaj. The reason why it's written like that is we do not have a letter in the English language that corresponds with the sound of this rune. The sound of this rune is E. It's not a U, and it's not a Y sound, and it's not an I sound. It is a sound that we don't use in modern English. The closest would be like in, I don't know, probably in other European languages, but I know in German they have the umlaut, right? E. The Y letter that we use, this letter in English, comes from the Greek, and it's spelled like this in English, the upsilon, because it has that U sound. So this is why when you look at the word weird, I remember talking to somebody and they said, yeah, the pronunciation is word. I said, that's not word. That's weird. That's why weird is pronounced weird. How is weird spelled? And it has what in the middle? Weird. Weird. So that's the sound of yuhwaj. Now I use the word, I pronounce it like this. I pronounce it yuhwaj because I'm trying to educate you on how that word is pronounced, and that's the closest we can get in English, you, but it's actually u. It's actually yuhwaj. This is the letter and sound of what's the word I use? Involuntary transformation. Involuntary transformation. Oops. Did that get on there? Or? Yeah, great. Involuntary transformation. So what is coming to you, my friend, is involuntary transformation. Meaning it's going to feel like it's happening to you. But it is it can be very challenging. This is the rune of shamanic initiation. It's the rune of the yew tree. The yew tree is the tree of life and death. If you know anything about yew trees, do I have a picture of a yew tree here? I don't think I do. No, I don't have a picture of a yew tree on here. Yew trees create these little like hallways. They create tunnels. And what happens is the yew tree comes out of the ground and then branches come out like this, and then the branches go all the way to the ground, and then the branches go in the ground, and then they become the roots for another yew tree that'll pop up over here. And the yew tree itself is very interesting because, yew trees, this is like shamans would sit. You'd find shamans sitting in a hollowed out yew tree that's still alive, because what happens is the yew tree, unlike, other trees where it grows and then it creates rings and it gets wider and wider, the yew tree grows out like this and hollows out from the inside out. It's also got poisonous needles on it. So if animals eat it, they get poisoned and die. Shamans would sit in those, those little tunnels that are made. Like you can climb in under, next to the bark of the tree and the base of the tree, and have the branches come over you like this. The poison that comes off of through the leaves gets into the air, and you breathe it in, and it becomes a toxin that puts you into an altered state of consciousness. This is why it's the tree of shamans, because it would put you in an altered state. And there's even shamans today that do that. There's some guy in Scotland who calls himself a shaman, and that's how he found out. He was sitting in a yew tree, and he started breathing it in and went into another state. Now, don't take this to mean I'm telling you to go sit under a yew tree. I'm not telling you to do that. It's toxic. You're breathing in a toxin. That's why you're going into an altered state. Having said that, things happen the way they happen. So, back to your reading. This is in the north, which is Niflheim, which is energy that's coming to you. You may be starting to feel it. Probably with this rune you are. Now, if we have a rune that's reversed, or a problem rune in the north, if we see that, it means the universe is giving us an option, saying, listen, you got some time, maybe you can turn this around. But with Yuhwaj, it's not, you don't have that option. Yuhwaj does not flip upside down or right side up. It's just always this. It's irreversible. So, my friend, at the very least, you are going to have a shamanic awakening, which might be very challenging, and or you may be experiencing something that will be very challenging for you. The way to deal with this is to surrender. You know, many people, when they have shamanic initiations, they go into trance, or they have a dream, or they have a nightmare, or something like that, where they dream that the gods or the ancestors or animals or something is chopping them into pieces and then putting them back together. I remember one woman telling me about this vision that she had, that the ants were slicing her up and then sewing her back together. This is what happens. Now, you may not have a vision, but that is going to be the experience. You're going to be coming apart at the seams, and then the universe is going to put you back together. Best thing to do is not to struggle, because the more you struggle, right, it's a lot harder for them to stitch you up if you're thrashing around. So just breathe and take it and try and find a pleasant experience out of it. Try and ask yourself, what am I here to learn? What can I let go of? This is what is coming to you. And it could be a complete transformative evolution in your life that may take you to the next level. We don't know. But at the very least, this is coming. So begin meditating and relaxing and getting ready for it. The next rune is in the top right corner. This is Asgard, the home of the celestial deities. And here we have Perthro. And Perthro is Merkstave, as they call it, or reversed. Now, Perthro represents your Orlog. It represents, karma. Your dharma really is what it represents. It represents your path. Your immutable path that was given to you before you were born. And so whatever we're talking about here, the gods have said, that's it, we're done, no more. Done with that. The gods represent your aspirations, your hopes, your what you hope for, what is inspiring to you, what empowers you, what gives you zeal, your religion. The Northeast is the most powerful place for an altar because of the fact that it represents the highest energies, which is Mount Olympus, which is Asgard, but also it represents what's known as a demon gate. Because what is one of the ways, in fact there's only 2 demon gates in the 9 worlds, and Asgard is one of them. What is one way that you can fall out of balance and open up the universe, Midgard, for the entrance of negativity? It is ultra, super, self-righteous spirituality. This is why the hardcore heathens who are racialists and who, are Trump supporters and full on the right, this is why they say, I'm a worshiper of the gods. Like who's the guy, Stephen McNallen, the guy who promotes this racialist heathen thing, probably started it, in my estimation, he started it. He'll talk about all the other gods, and he'll talk about the Vanir, but he'll say, I'm an Odin man. Which means that he is fully left-brained, sees things in black and white. It makes him ultra-conservative, ultra-right-wing, and that's why he's a racialist. And that is the demon door. When you become imbalanced in that realm, you open up the door for demons and negativity. Demons are nothing more than your unresolved, unconscious projections. Whatever a racist says about other races, they are talking about themselves. You can replace whatever, racial epithet that they use and put their name in it. Whatever they say. Those people are dogs. Those people are no good. Those people are stupid. Those people are this. Those people are thieves. You take out whatever they used and put that person's name in it, that's how they feel about themselves on an unconscious level. They have released the demons of their unconscious into their reality. Their demon door from Asgard has been opened. That's why it's a demon door. For you, my friend, you have Perthro reversed, which says that according to your inspiration, your aspirations, something has come to a karmic end. You can never do it again. You can never experience it. Maybe you feel as though the gods have shut the door on you. It could be your experience that the gods have said, no more, we won't talk to you. It could be that the gods are saying to you something in connection to your spirituality, in connection to your inspiration, has to come to an end. It's not something you can alter. It has something you have to let go of altogether. So I'll know more when you tell me what it is. Moving to the next rune, which is, let's see if I can do this, is right there. On the right side, the right middle, as Nauthij. Nauthij comes from two ancient words, Na and Wicht. We pronounce it as white. It means no spirit. Whoops. Na Wicht, Na white means no spirit. Nauthij in modern English, Naucht, not, nothing. So this here in the East, this is how you deal with yourself. This is your own ego, your own self, how you give to yourself, and you have reached Nauthij, which means that you feel that there's no energy in it. Now, the Na in Na white means power of emptiness. Now, you feel as though there's no energy, but the most powerful thing in the universe is emptiness. It's in the emptiness in the molecules of the hydrogen atom that they created the nuclear bomb. Wiped out Hiroshima. The power came from splitting the atom, which released the Nauthij, released the emptiness within the atom. That's where it's the potential power. The power of potential is the most powerful thing there is. Now, before you split that atom, what you experience is Nauthij. Feels like Perthro reversed. It feels like when you deal with your own self, your own ego, you feel like, I just can't figure this out. I can't get past this. I feel stuck. But it means that you are on the verge of a massive transformation. Just like the people who discovered fire, that discovery of fire created opportunities. I mean, without the discovery or the invention of fire, human beings would still be living in caves. You know, we wouldn't be able to function anywhere outside of the tropics, which there are still, you know, indigenous tribes in the tropics that don't use fire and they sleep on the ground. You know, they don't have clothes. They just, you know, put down some leaves and sleep there all night. They don't need anything else. They don't need what they need fire for. It's 80 degrees all day long. But in order to be able to use technology, we have to first create fire. So you are on the verge of expanding your identity, your sense of self, into something revolutionary for you, which is going to take you to the next level of your ability. But first, you have to ask yourself, what can I do differently? Because Nauthij says, you know, when the guy who tried to create fire, you know, he spent a lot of time going, okay, you know, smashing my head on the ground doesn't work. Chanting fire doesn't work. Let's see, throwing rocks at the ground doesn't work. Let's try rubbing two sticks together. Oh, that didn't work. Let me try rubbing it this way. Let's tie a string around it and go like this, like we're playing the violin, and then fire! Took him a long time to figure that out, and he kept asking himself, what can I do differently that I haven't tried yet? So you have to think outside of the box. You have to keep asking yourself, what doesn't work? Stop doing what doesn't work anymore and try something new. It's going to feel totally ridiculous to you, but you have to be so desperate to go to the next level that you're willing to do anything. Even if your fingers are bleeding because you're rubbing those sticks together, that's where you have to be. So that's where you're at in terms of how you give to yourself. Moving to the next one, which is, sorry, it's backwards, so it's weird for me. The next one is here on the bottom right This is the dwarf home, the home of the powers of emotional energy. Your emotions are pure life force energy. If you can harness the power of your emotions, you can harness the power of creating in the physical realm. So it is here in the Southeast that we intend our physical reality through our third eye, in our subconscious mind. Not our unconscious, that's different. The subconscious. Subconscious is not the unconscious. Okay? There's a difference. Most people don't know that difference. Almost every time somebody says subconscious, they mean unconscious. It drives me crazy. As do many things drive me crazy. So in your subconscious mind, you're having difficulty intending perhaps money, because fehu represents resources, and the most abundant resource that we use, listen to my words, it's not the most abundant resource we have. The most abundant resource we use is money. I don't have any money. I don't have my wallet here. I'd show you money. Just a piece of paper that represents the arbitrary value of nothingness which we use to buy stuff. We really want the stuff. We don't care about the pieces of paper. We can't do anything with that except blow our nose and wipe our butt. Or maybe, start a fire. Other than that, we can't do anything with it. We can write a note on it. But unless you and I agree that that piece of paper has value, it is just a piece of paper. Probably carrying a bunch of germs in so many people's pockets. But you, my friend, are trying to intend resources, and you're having difficulty on a subconscious level. You don't have resources. If we're talking about money, then you're having challenges on a subconscious level intending money. If we're just talking about, something else, whatever we're talking about, you feel on a subconscious level that you do not have the resources. We'll get back to that later. Moving to the next one, which is so weird. I can never get this totally backwards. Is the middle rune on this line, which is in the south, which is the fire home. And here we have Ansuj. Ansuj. And Ansuj, just by chanting it, I can feel the power of it. Ansuj means divine communication. Divine communication represents your ability to receive communication from the spirit realm, from the gods, from your higher self, from your true self. It also represents your ability to communicate back to the gods. If it's reversed, it means that you're blocked. Your divine communication is blocked. It could just also mean communication, because communication itself should always be divine. That is why you should always speak the truth. If you lie, if you hedge, if you are unconsciously lying to yourself and to others, you are not communicating divinely, you are causing damage. When you speak the truth from yourself, you speak and communicate with divine power. The voice and speaking is a magical act. And the more that you understand that, the more that you will be somebody of few words, unlike me. You will be somebody who only speaks when you have something to say, which, like my mother used to say, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. That's very powerful. Because when you speak outside of your divinity, then at the very least you are not operating as a divine being on earth. So this is in the south, which represents your actions. Your actions are you have to speak. You have to communicate. You either have to communicate to the gods in meditation, or you have to speak and communicate your truth to whomever. That is the action that must be taken. The south represents the actions that you must take. Moving to the next, I can't point because my finger goes under. My fingers go underneath, and you can't see what I'm pointing at over here. We go to the bottom left, which is the underworld, Hell home, the home of Mother Hela, the divine goddess who accepts you more than any other being in the universe. She has zero judgment. Doesn't matter what you've done, she can tolerate you and love you unconditionally. No other being can do that. She is the true mother. Here, she says on an unconscious level, unconscious means unconscious. If you deal with a teacher or a therapist who says, you are unconsciously, whatever it is, you're unconsciously full of rage, and you say, I am not, I don't feel any rage. That's the point. It is unconscious. You are unaware of it. The best thing you can say if somebody says to you, you are unconsciously whatever, you go, well, if that's true, I don't feel it. It means that you're acknowledging that there are things that are beneath your conscious awareness. Not subconscious, because subconscious you do have access to. Your subconscious mind is where your phone number is, your social security number is, your address, your, the name of your first grade teacher. You're not thinking about it all the time, but if somebody says, hey, who was that teacher that you had in first grade? You go, oh yeah, that was Miss Whiting. She was my teacher, Miss Whiting. You're not thinking about Miss Whiting all the time unless you have some kind of thing about, your first grade teacher. But when somebody asks you, it's resting right there in your unconscious. It's a big file that has a bunch of info. Your unconscious mind, you can't remember any of it. You can't remember what you did when you were 2 years old. It's in there, but you can't remember it. Stuff that you've pushed down that you cannot tolerate, that you cannot face. We all have it. It's in your unconscious mind, means you're totally clueless. There are people that have gone through all kinds of horrible trauma in their lives and they can't remember it. It's in their unconscious, though. Better believe it's definitely in their unconscious. In your unconscious mind, you have a problem with your personal boundaries. Thurisaj is the rune of Thor. Thor is the power of the word I want to use. He is the power of the magnetic force. If you don't know what the magnetic force is, it's not just two magnets. It's something altogether different. In physics, the magnetic force. The magnetic force is something like 10 to the 32nd power stronger than gravity. That's 1 with 32 zeros stronger. I don't know the exact, could be 36 or I don't know. I don't remember the exact number, but it's huge. Gravity, we experience gravity as the strongest force there is. I mean, it's so powerful we can't even, we can't jump off. I mean, no matter how hard I try, I'm not going to start levitating. I mean, the gravity it determines really everything. This is the thing, the flat earthers out there. One of the stupidest things you can say is try and put water on an orange. It won't stay there. It'll drip off. Of course it'll drip off. There's gravity of the earth, which is huge. The orange does have its own gravitational force. If you throw it out into space, it does have its own gravitational force, and if you put orange seeds around it, the orange seeds will rotate around it. But it doesn't have enough gravity to hold water on itself. So that's just the stupidest thing. Here, try and put water on this orange. See how it all comes off? That's what would happen if the earth was round. No. There is this thing called gravity. The earth has its own gravitational field. The center of it, the deeper you go, the more mass there is, the greater the gravity is. It holds the water magically around it. The way you know that it works, we have this thing called the moon, which also has its own gravitational force. And when the moon is rotating around the earth, the gravity of the moon pulls the water, and what happens? We get tides. The water in the ocean moves out and it comes back. Sorry, I get so annoyed at people who don't think. And the reason why people don't think, this is what bugs me about it. The reason why people don't think is because they are not aware of their emotional agendas. And when you are not aware of your emotional agendas, you make stupid assumptions and you come to stupid conclusions and you look like a moron. And no matter what people tell you, which will show you the truth, it won't matter to you. You will come up with excuses to deny it. This is the power of the unconscious mind. We should call it the power of the gravitational force of the mind. It's where all the gravity is. The underworld, of course. You have thurisage reversed, which means that you have some unconscious issues surrounding your personal boundaries. Now, whenever you see a rune that is reversed in the southwest here, that means this is a fundamental issue. That if you do not become aware of what's going on with that, it's going to continue to cause problems. All the other runes could be perfect, and you could be saying to yourself, I'm going to be a millionaire, I'm going to be successful, but if you have a problem in your unconscious mind, it won't matter. So you've got an issue here. Now you've got other things working for you, so there are things that we can do, but there is an issue here. And this is in direct, if you look from the southwest to the northeast, you can see that there is another blocked rune in the northeast, which in the northeast acts like the lid over the boiling pot. And when both of these are reversed, it means that there's a problem with the unconscious and the superconscious mind. There's an imbalance there that needs to be fixed. At the very least, I can tell you, you have problems with boundaries. I'd need to talk to you to find out more, but we'll deal with that later. Moving on to the next rune, which is in the middle left, in the realm of the Vanir, the gods of time and space, the gods of fertility, gods of magic, of love, happiness. You have Tiwaj, which is the realm of the highest awareness, just like that arrow. It points up to the highest awareness. This in the West represents how you give to others. The East is how you give to yourself. The West is how you give to others. And here you do give to others from your highest awareness. Let us all take a moment to give you a standing ovation. I'm going to stay seated in my chair, but everybody else is going to stand up and they're going to applaud you. That is an amazing thing. It's a very, very, very powerful energy working for you. However, you have difficulty knowing how to give to yourself. And once again, this is a boundary issue. I'm quite certain that this is where the boundary issue intersects. Unconsciously, you have boundary issues, which makes it difficult for you to know how to view yourself, how to give to yourself properly. That's why in the middle, most likely, we have this focus on the self. You are trying to figure out who you are. Moving up to the last rune in the top left corner, the northwest, the home of the celestial masters. This represents your higher self, your third eye, from which you get energy and intuition from the ancestors, from the elves, from the gods, from your own higher self that sits up here. You have another self that sits up here, tries to help you, but you have to actually listen to it. If you don't listen to it, it rolls its eyes and it goes, I'm trying to help this guy. When you're ready, you let me know and I'll tell you what you need to do. Here we have Wunjo. Now, Wunjo translates as joy, but in my experience, it is not the joy of happiness, ha ha, he ha, I'm happy right now, although you could be laughing as a result. It means the joy that comes from being with family and friends and loved ones. The joy that comes, like we call, Christmas a season of joy. The joy comes from fellowship and friendship and family and the warmth of camaraderie. And here the ancestors, the elves, are enjoying you. They are giving you that love and that warmth and support, which is very good. It means that they are telling you that there is something that you're doing properly. Now, there's some other things that are saying you're out of whack, mister. But the elves are like, listen, we're looking at the long shot here. We're not just interested in right now, and we are completely giving you love and support. Maybe it's such a difficult time for you that that's what you need, and they will give you that. They're very, like Mother Hella, they're very non-judgmental. They don't need to come in here and tell you what to do, but they do have advice for you if you will listen to them. The way to listen to them is to listen to that warmth and camaraderie. Now, again, I don't know because I haven't looked and I haven't asked for you to tell me, but I will look at it in a moment. I don't know what your focus was if you had one. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a look and see if there are any trends of 3 reversed runes. I don't see that. We have the closest thing we've already talked about, which is the northeast to the southwest, and they are absolutely connected. The northeast, as I said, is the lid over the boiling pot, which is your unconscious mind, your superconscious mind. This is the way it is, and this is the way we want it to be. But there are problems there. It means that the lid is off. And so your unconscious boundary issues are coming out into your reality. Let's see what else speaks to me. Okay, nothing else without knowing. So now tell me, whatever the heck your name was. What was your name again? Some weird-ass youngster name. Some like rapper type name. The 250 Rider, man. 250 Rider. What was your focus? What was your question? Tell me. Okay, I don't know what potato famine season is going into springtime. Please don't write nonsense. Don't waste my time with your nonsense. It goes for everybody. What was your focus? I know that there is a time lag, so I'll give you a couple seconds. We'll take a break while you tell me in a very cohesive, conscious manner, in a way that I can read. You are going to tell me what your focus was. All right? Be right back. so let's take a look. Let's see if 250 Writer has the ability to tell me in a, let's see, could say my current, what do you mean could say? Look, this was very clear from the beginning. You either have a focus or you don't. Could say is not that you had a focus. So I need you to tell me yes or no. When I told you to think about it, did you have a focus? Personally, okay. So I went through all of this with you, and now you're just going to be a pain in the ass. Personally, I was just window watching. Oh, well, that's all I'll share. Well, then that's all I'm going to share. Because if you don't tell me what your focus was, I can't do the interpretation for you. So, you know, it's a big waste of time for you. So, yeah, all right. Personally, just window watching. Then, anyway, it was educational for everybody else. Unfortunately, you are not going to know what this means. You know, I'm really trying to restrain myself here. I have a problem with cowardice. I have a problem with people who don't appreciate the gift of this life. And to understand, and this is one of the reasons why, like when I work with students, and if, you know, I know, you know, 250 Writer doesn't have this relationship with me, but when I work with apprentices, I tell them that, you know, you're free to leave whenever you want, but this is a two-way street. And before you decide to stop working with me, we need to have a discussion. Just like when you break up with a boyfriend or you divorce somebody, you have to talk with them. You can still leave. Nobody's keeping you from leaving, but at least you owe it to them to say, here's what I'm leaving and here's why. And then you have a discussion. And then sometimes you realize, oh, this is something we can work out. And yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. Let's work through this. And things get better. Or you both realize, you know what, you're right. This isn't going to work. So when people unilaterally leave without talking to me, you know, and sending me an email, it does not count. That's a unilateral, you know, destruction of the relationship. Then they almost always come back. I could give you some very funny stories. They almost always come back and want to either start working with me again or they want to be my friend. And to those that I explain it to, I say, listen, this is the biggest lesson I can share with you. We don't get to reconnect because I want you to remember that you should not act on your unconscious fears. And you should always appreciate the possibilities that are there with you. It's extremely important because that's what this life is all about. You are given opportunities, and sometimes these opportunities are, you know, you take it now or forget it. And that forces you to live in the moment. If you live as though you are immortal and as though you are somebody, what's the word I want to look for? An immature, what's the word I want to look for? Like kids these days feel entitled. When you have this false feeling of entitlement, and when you have a fear of living true to yourself, and so you take actions that prevent you from having your greatest experience, which include things like, you know, I don't have time, or I don't have the money, or maybe later, or in this case, well, that's all I'm going to share. You know, the universe chose this guy. 250, right? The universe chose you. I didn't know. I put out the reading before I even came on board. I already had in mind the number. You picked the one closest to the number. You had a destiny to learn from me what it was you're focused on. And you're too afraid to even anonymously, nobody's going to know who you are. I mean, can anybody look and see who 250 Writer is? Oh yeah, he lives on 420 Elm Street and he has 3 kids and he has blonde hair. Nobody knows you. You have an opportunity to have a master shaman reveal to you information from the universe and you're too scared to look at it. Because you have some false ego thing going on that says that you can't share with it, which really is you're afraid to take a look at yourself. And that's a shame. You are only damaging yourself by not allowing yourself to take control of this opportunity. This is over $300 worth of stuff you're getting for free from me. Other people pay $300 to have me do this for them. So the only reason I'm going on and on, this isn't personal against him. I don't know this guy. I honestly don't care one way or the other. This is for those of you listening. The universe will come and give you opportunities to move past yourself and to learn. And you can choose to take them or not. And in many instances, when you do not take them, you cannot come back later. Say, I changed my mind. The universe says, tough. This is now the weird. This is the debt, this is the karma that you have to live through as a result of not taking that opportunity. Now, don't take this to mean that if you miss something, your life is ruined. It's not that. It just means you should always be in the present moment, looking, paying attention, and realizing that this moment that you're experiencing will never come again. This exact moment that you have right now will never come again. And the opportunities that present themselves to you will never come again. Don't be a pussy. Take advantage of it and use it. Okay, so that's all the time I'm going to give to that. I'm more interested in the lesson for you than I am about beating up some guy I don't know. I don't really care. So let's continue. Let's go back. I'm now going to answer questions. Richard Bullard, question. Is Odin Santa Claus? Remember when I said earlier about asking smart questions? No, Odin is not Santa Claus, but there is a lot of evidence that Santa Claus was based off of the idea of Odin. Obviously, as interesting as that is, I don't base my whole entire life off of that. Santa Claus is actually a person that was named Saint Nicholas. It's based off a real person. But the Santa Claus we have now, we think may have been influenced by Odin. And then he goes on and says, is there a significance to Santa comes from the north to the earth with Baphomet? I don't know what Baphomet is. We're talking about, remember, so if you're new to the channel, welcome. Forgive me for stepping all over you here. I don't do Western magic. It's not my thing. And I don't talk about things I don't know anything about. So that's the best I can answer for your question right now. All right. All right, looking for the questions here. Again, I'm only interested in your questions, nothing else. All right, so I don't know who this, okay, I think that was a joke. All right, so strong beer, yeah, please restrict your interaction here to questions only. If people come on, I don't know this guy, he might be all right, but if people come on and they take up too much time, I will ban them and or put them on a timeout. All right, so I am going to put this guy on a timeout for the time being because he's not appreciating my request, which is please don't write, don't be cute. I'm not interested in your cute anything, only ask questions. I don't care about that. Anything other than that. Let's see. Mastering Midgard. Questions. Questions, more than one. Can you speak about Freya and Folkvanger? Yes, I believe that there is, according to our mythology, those who die in battle go to Valhalla. Dying in battle means exactly what I was talking about. You live in the moment. You are prepared to die, to experience reality and this life as a tremendous gift, whatever that means. You're willing to die to experience that at its greatest. When you live in such a way, if you die having done that throughout your whole life, you will go to Valhalla. But there's another place called Folkvanger, which is the realm of Freyja. And Freyja also gets her measure of warriors who died fearlessly. And so that's really all that I have to say. I have other thoughts about it, but we can infer that from the mythology. Folkvanger and Valhalla, I believe, are the same places. You know, it could be that somebody who dies of old age goes to Folkvanger. I don't know. That's another way to look at it. Sick and old mean a couple of different things. I do believe that illness has something to do with living in fear, which means not going after what you really want. Let me be clear about that. Living fearlessly does not mean going and carrying torches in DC. That is not fearless. That's just ridiculous and stupid. However, if you do not go after what you truly want, which if you are walking in DC holding a torch, I can guarantee you you're not going after what gives you the greatest joy. You're wrapped up in your fears. If you don't go after what you truly want, it gets stuck in your body because you are rageful at yourself for not giving yourself what you truly want. This is the source of all psychological and emotional issues. It's the source of all physical issues as well. It gets stuck in the tissues, and it creates all various kinds of illnesses. And depending on what the illness is and where it's placed, will tell you what you're angry at and why on an unconscious level. Okay, moving on. Let's see, did I get to all the questions? Gremner Thomas, question, where can I get a copy of the flute music that is played during the break just now? You can go on to my channel. It's me playing the flute. You can go on to my YouTube channel and just type in flute music. Again, let me tell people, please figure out the difference between searching on YouTube. So if you go to the top and type in flute music on YouTube, you're going to get every single flute thing. You have to learn how to search within somebody's YouTube channel. Depending on whether you're using a phone or an iPad or a laptop, it's going to be different. So please put the time and effort to learn how to search within my channel. Having said that, go onto my channel and type in flute music, and a bunch of flute, for like 30-minute things will come up. That one will come up as well. You'll be able to listen to it and figure out which one it is. All right. Mad Sweeney's Bear, question, is the mantra we get as part of the Vedic astrological reading something we can continue to chant for the rest of our life? Yes. Or should it be just for the 40 days? No, here's what you do. The 40-day ritual is something that you do specifically to unlock the unconscious and to get rid of, stuff inside your unconscious mind so that you can figure out what it is you truly want and go after it. Because the difficulties you have with going after what you truly want will be in your unconscious mind, meaning you're unaware of it. Mantras are like computer virus programs that go in to get rid of computer viruses. You can look at your unconscious mind as being filled with a bunch of viruses that are keeping all the, confusion in your unconscious. When you chant mantras, it goes in there and clears it up and breaks it up, and then you become aware. And then things start to happen magically in your life which help you follow your path. That's what happens when you get a reading from me. For that, you go to, let's put that up for a second. For that one, you go to astrology.thunderwizard.com. Go to astrology.thunderwizard.com and you can get a reading from me. You can also learn my astrology by going to astrology certification. Don't tell me do what I'm asking you to do. Astrology certification.thunderwizard.com. Okay, you can go there and you can do the same thing I'm talking about here. Become a rune reader and make money as a rune reader. You can also do it as an astrologer. At some point, when I get all these certifications together, I'll slap them all together, and then you can get certified for everything. But that's not for a while. Don't waste your time waiting for that. All right. Too Fitty Rider says, oh, some French coward rammed my vehicle back late January. He doesn't want to pay me back in damages. Well, is that your focus? Is that what you were thinking about? Anyway, unfortunately, I mean, the time has passed. I just don't feel motivated to try and look at it. I was really excited and motivated to look at it then, but you didn't take advantage of it when it was there, and I moved on to something else. So I'm sorry that that happened to you, and I wish you all the best. Mastering Midgard, question, can you speak on the Amatya Karaka and its role in context to the Atma Karaka? Well, that's pretty easy to find out. You know, you can go and look up all the different aspects. For those who don't know, the Atma Karaka is the planet that has the highest number of degrees in your chart, which will determine all kinds of things, you know, like which deity and which planets want to help you in your conscious mind, your subconscious, and your unconscious. It will tell you which planetary deities specifically you need to be worshiping to help you in different areas. The Amatya Karaka is used, among other things, in my reading, the Amatya Karaka is used to determine what planet wants to give you money, which means which deities. So from that I know which deity you should worship and which mantra you should use, and depending on where that planet is in your chart, what sign it's in, it'll tell me what ritual to do in order to bring money to you. Okay? So for that, go to astrology.thunderwizard.com. But the Amatya Karaka is the Atma Karaka has the highest number of degrees. The Amatya Karaka has second highest. Again, this is something you can look up online. You know, I don't have a whole lot more to say other than that. But there you go. Matt Sweeney's bear question: is it acceptable to set up a permanent thunder wheel in a spare bedroom, even though you may be in the room for other things, walking about? Well, it's okay with me. I mean, if that's the best you can do, I'm okay with that. You know, ideally you want to have the thunder wheel someplace where it's in its own private, empowered place. But I'm okay with that. You know, the gods are okay with it too. You know, it kind of brings up why won't you manifest a way to find that space? You know, find that space to make that space. That's the thought that comes to mind. Having said that, I personally don't have an issue with it. You do what you know, anything is better than nothing. As long as we're moving in the right direction, that's all we care about. Okay, that's it for me. I'm going to take a break. I'll come back and then we'll wrap things up unless there's any other questions. Again, you can ask me any question you want. I'll be back in a couple of minutes. Alrighty. So, again, here's what all of this is about. The point of this video today is to share with you an opportunity to learn how to make money. So let me talk a little bit about that. Go to runecertification.thunderwizard.com if you want to learn everything I have on video. That includes paid. I don't even know how much it is. There's hundreds of dollars of paid videos on there that you'll have access to, as well as every other thing I've done on video about runes. And if you want, you can be certified and do what currently I have one astrologer who works underneath me. One who was quite successful. This individual had to take some time off, and another one just completely disappeared. I said something on a video that pissed this person off, and this person just disappeared. So I'm assuming. I don't even know, to be honest. They didn't even tell me. They just left. So there's a lot more space for astrology people, and I know there's a few in the queue waiting to put in their certification test for me. If you want to be a rune counselor under the Thunder Wizard banner, you can go and study, and it's just real simple. I'll give you a rune layout like I did today, and you just go through and give your understanding. You don't have to do it to my degree. I'm not asking you to be me. I just want you to be able to go through all of the 9 worlds and give your understanding of it. That's all. Real simple. But it does take, unlike the astrology where that takes some intuition and some, that you can just kind of follow the notes, the astrology certification. This is, you're going to have to, bring yourself to it and talk about your understanding of it. Now, I am going to require that you have, some similar interpretations of runes as I do, because we have to have some consistency if you're going to use the Thunder Wizard name of mine. But let's say you don't want to do that. You just want to start off on your own. You'll be able to take this 9-world rune reading and give that out to anybody you want, whenever you want. Now, let's say you want to make money today, and you don't want to take the time to try and advertise yourself. I have a way for you to do that. Not with me directly, although who can say? Go on to Google or whatever search engine you use and type in phone psychic jobs. Type in phone psychic jobs. And this is what I did while I was writing all of these books. I did this, I don't even know for how many years. When I had nothing, I was living in the middle of the woods. I had no money, I had nothing. And I had to figure out a way to work. I didn't want to go work at Walmart. So I said, there's people that make money as psychics on phone lines. I'm not a psychic, but, I can do rune readings. Why don't I just use the runes as a way to answer questions? So that's what I did. I signed up as a phone psychic, and I had jobs with multiple different phone lines, and some don't pay very much. And the one that I still, technically, if I wanted to, I could work on. You can set your own, you can work for Keen, well, I don't know if they're taking anybody right now, but Keen.com, I set my own price at $100 an hour. You get paid by the minute, but I made sure to average that to $100 an hour. And there are a lot of people that charge a lot more than that to be psychic, phone psychics. I'm not a psychic. I can't, I have intuition like, a lot of teachers do, but I'm not a psychic. I can't tell you, what's going to happen on what day. But I can read the runes. And so I would take calls, and I would, give them whatever my psychic name was, and they would ask their question, and I would lay the runes out. And then I would take the understanding from the runes and tell them. And they would say, oh my God, that's so amazing. You can read my mind. And I got repeat customers. That's another way to do it. So if you need money right now and you want to use the runes, I recommend that. Here's the thing about making money working for yourself. You have to be completely, utterly determined. Totally and completely and utterly determined to make money working for yourself. You will run into difficult times. By difficult, I mean there's going to be some lean times, especially in the beginning. Doesn't matter. I'm not just talking about being a rune reader or a phone psychic. I'm just talking about it in general. There's only one rule that you need to know, and I can guarantee you, if you follow this one rule, you will be successful and you will be able to determine your perfect fantasy life. That one rule is you can only go after making money doing things you would do anyway. Now, I spent time, this is like I said, my thought process, I wasn't as conscious of the rule then, but I was following it when I said, I don't want to work at Walmart. I hate the idea of working for somebody else for an hourly wage. I'd rather put a gun to my head than do that. I'm not going to do that. Okay, so how can I make a living? I live in the middle of the woods. This was back then. I live in the middle of the woods. There's just no jobs. What the hell can I do? I have a phone. Well, let's see. People make money as I work with runes all the time. I'm writing books about runes. I will put that. I'm going to become a rune reader. I'm going to become a psychic who uses runes. I mean, people do it with tarot all the time. There's nothing new about that. People are psychics, and all they do is they look at tarot cards. So you can do the same with runes. But you have to be determined. If you let any doubts creep in, oh, this is that, I don't have enough money, I'm not good enough, which is all it is that's unconscious resistance to you following your truest and highest path. If you let that come in, you will find a reason to walk away. Just like when students are working with me, they find a reason, those that leave, they find some stupid, ridiculous reason. They find one thing that I said on one video that they don't like, and that's their justification. It's always irrational. There's never a rational reason for it. Same is true with people who walk away from their true path. Those of you who are listening to me who have poverty and who have sickness, I don't know you, I don't know your specific issues, but I can tell you the one root of it is that you are in conflict with your highest, truest path, that which gives you joy. And by not sacrificing your life, being willing to die, being willing to lose everything to achieve your highest happiness in life, by not doing that, you are walking in the wrong direction, and the universe is not supplying you with what you need. And that's why you're poor or sick or miserable or in a horrible relationship or whatever the hell your problem is. I'm not talking out of school. I'm telling you, I'm 55 years old. I've come to this realization within the past decade. You know, and had I known it when I was in my 20s, life would be very different for me right now. But even so, you know, I could go on and on about how great it is, my life is, and where I live and what I'm doing, and you know, all that stuff, but that's not really all that's important. What's important is that I'm now finally doing and living the way that I've said my whole life. If I only had this and if I only had that, well, now I have all those things. And I don't have those things because I won the lottery. I have those things for one reason. I started doing those things that gave me joy, and I said, I'm going to make money only doing the things that give me joy. I am not going to make money doing anything else. And I sacrificed everything I had, and I was willing to lose everything and be homeless if that's what it meant. I'm just not going to do anything else. If you have that mentality and you are willing to do that, then you can be, you know, you might not be rich, you might not have $1 billion, but you'll have everything you need and you'll live where you want, how you want, doing what you want. I can guarantee you that. So speaking of which, I am going to be doing a certification for just exactly what we're talking about, which is career counseling certification. I'm going to be teaching you step by step what I do when I'm on the phone because I can, if you, in case you don't know, you can go here to figure that out. You can go here to figure that out. thunderwizard.com. In an hour, I am almost certain that I can find out what your career path is that your soul has destined for you to do. Whether or not you have the balls to go do it is something else, because that's something very real. A lot of people, it's very scary to go do what it is you truly want. But I'm almost entirely certain I can help figure that out for you. And I'm going to be teaching people how to do that for others coming up soon. All right, I do see there's at least a couple more questions here. Original Source Energy says, question, what is your opinion of water? I don't understand that question. It's very moist. I need it to hydrate myself. I use it for washing. So my opinion of water is that it's moist and that I like to drink it. As far as our ancient ancestors viewed it in their teachings, it's I appreciate where you're coming from, but that's way too general of a question. So you may be new to my channel. Again, I welcome you to the channel. The best way to interact with me is to put time and effort, binge watch what I teach, because it's better to ask me about a question about something I teach instead of bringing in some random question. It's not that that question, there's anything wrong with it. It's very general, and it could be an interesting topic for discussion. But you're not making use of me. I have a lot of knowledge about a lot of things, and it shows that you don't have an awareness of what it is I'm teaching, or that what I'm teaching isn't of interest to you, in which case, then you're wasting your time. So take the best advantage of my channel, watch what I teach, read my books, and then ask me a question based on what I teach, and I'll be happy to go off on hours just on your question to help you. Okay? Thank you, and again, welcome to the channel. Gremner Thomas, question, can the advanced hand seal of the Thurisage be used in place of wood element hand seal? Yeah. Yes. So again, your original source energy, you may not even know what that means. If you watch my videos and read my books, you know exactly what he's asking. He's asking a very specific question based on what I teach, which will give him tremendous power. The Thurisage hand seal is a tremendously powerful hand seal that if you master it, if you do that hand seal for an hour a day for the rest of your life, you will master life force energy and the magic associated with it. It'll also drive away all kinds of negativity and get rid of annoying people in your life. Black Earth Productions, question. This time he's in all caps because I missed his question last time. I'm sorry. I saw that I had missed your question. But that's because we have people who don't ask questions and write a bunch of nonsense, and so I miss questions. And that's not your fault. Black Earth Productions, by the way, go check out his website, Black Earth Productions with a Z.com. And go to his channel, which is just Black Earth Productions. Question, what is the #1 way to know that your intuition is being activated? Boy, you know, he never asks the easy questions. His questions are always very deep. I don't know about the #1 way. You may have an idea of what that is. I suspect my intuition is telling me that you do. But let me think about that for a second. What is the #1 way to know that you're in? I'll tell you how it's been manifesting for me. The way that my intuition has been manifesting for me is that when, because I'm making a lot of decisions, I'm going through the same thing that I talk about. It never stops. It's just a progression of the same challenges that we've always gone through our whole lives. I'm going through a lot of really interesting and fun challenges. And so I'm having to make some decisions. I'm having to get honest with myself because they're just like everybody else. I'm wanting to be a pussy and not be truthful about certain things in certain ways. And I finally came to the realization that I was going to be fearless about something. And all of a sudden, I felt this rush of happiness just flood through me from the inside. like that. That was my intuition. So for me, my number one way that I am following, maybe not getting intuition, but following my intuition, is I get that feeling of joy within. That tells me that my soul is clapping. Yay, you figured it out. Yeah, go do that. And then all of a sudden, all of the fear drops and all of the problems drop. So I don't know about the number one way. I'm sure there are many ways. That is right now the number one way that it's my intuition is confirming things for me. So I don't know if I answered your question or not, but that's how that works. All right. Let's see. Yes, and Gremner Thomas asks Black Earth Productions a question, and Black Earth, who's got my back, says, this is Michael's platform. Message me if you want. So thank you. Respectful guy. Respect is everything. When you become a teacher, you start to understand why you need to treat teachers with respect. For instance, the guy who came on here who won the free reading, and when it came time, after I had spent an hour going over his reading and I was ready to hear the specifics, he wimped out and he said, that's all I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to get into it. He showed a complete lack of respect for me and my knowledge. I had put a ton of time and effort into explaining his reading to him. And for him to walk away from that was incredibly disrespectful. Now, he wasn't thinking that. He wasn't even consciously thinking one way or the other, which is, again, something else we could talk about. So he wasn't consciously trying to disrespect me, but that's part of the understanding. The rules that teachers have in traditional settings, I'm talking about in China, in India, those guys that are seen as really strict teachers, they have those rules set in place because those rules are there to open up your connection to the ancestors. And when you treat the teachers with respect, it's not just about teaching them, giving them respect because they've earned whatever title they have. It means that you are allowing the channels between you and the universe to function in such a way that you are going to benefit from it. Paying me money that I ask for, following the rules if you want a service from me, following all the things I suggest. If I give you direction, following it, following the protocols that go along with that are going to benefit you, not just because you're being good to a teacher, yay, teacher. It's that there are ways that you need to learn how to interface with the universe. And if you interface with the universe in those ways, you will receive power. It's all about you. All of the rules that teachers have with their students are 100% for you. Trust me, teachers do not need or enjoy to be pains in the ass. They have better things to do. If you're experiencing them as being a pain in the ass, it's because they're trying to help your brain align itself in ways and vibrate in a certain way where the universe will open up and teach you things. That guy had an opportunity. I'm giving him a hard time. If he's still listening, I hope he remembers from now on, when he has an opportunity, he can't be afraid and narcissistic and selfish and say, that's all I'm going to say, I'm not going to say anymore. I was just window shopping. I was just this. If it didn't mean anything to you, this is the other thing. When he said, I'm just window shopping, after I went through that whole reading, what he was saying is that this isn't important to me. Spirituality isn't important to me. And when you say that, the universe goes, all right, then we give up. But it's coming from fear. It's coming from false humility that says, and false ego that says, I don't really need anything. I'm not really, here, let me give you, I shared this with one of my students. I've shared it online before. It was when I was in acting class a long time ago. And, we were doing a scene and there was an actress and she just wasn't really putting anything into her part, and so the teacher was asking the kinds of questions that acting teachers ask, which is, well, what is it that your character needs right now? And she said, well, she doesn't need anything, she's just whatever it was. And they had this discussion about, the teacher says, listen, when you're acting as a character, you have to assume that the writer has decided that this character needs something from the other person more than they need the air that they breathe. And she was fighting with that. She didn't want to go there. She was too afraid to go to that place of need. And so she said, well, what does that mean? How am I supposed to know that I'm acting from my deepest need or whatever? And he said to the rest of the classes we're sitting, he says, nobody get up. Stay seated exactly where you are. Do not get up no matter what happens. And he pointed at me. He says, you don't get up. Because he knows the kind of person I am. He was a tall guy. He was over 6 foot tall. He was a young girl. And we couldn't get away with this now. This was in the 80s. If you did this now, you'd go to jail. But we could get away with this back then. So he stood behind her, and he put his arm around her stomach, and he put his hand over her nose and her mouth. And he held her there. And she rolled her eyes until she started to suffocate. And then she started to struggle. And she really started to struggle. And then you could hear her screaming because she needed air so bad. And he finally let go, and she went, and he says, when your character needs to do whatever it is that you're doing as much as you need to breathe, then you will be in character. Then you will be in the moment. And I'm sharing this with you because spirituality is the same. If you don't care about this, if you're just window shopping, and there's nothing wrong with window shopping, but like I said earlier, if he's just window shopping, then he's wasting his own time. And if he doesn't value his own time, he is disrespecting his own eternal spirit to such a degree that the universe has to let go and says, you're on your own. We're not going to co-sign that. And that's when you create, out of your fear, out of this false, I don't really care about this, I don't really need this. Oh, sure, that's fine. I don't really, which is what happens. This is the ego. This is the intellect. This is what happens. If you don't need spirituality, you won't learn. The people who learn are the people who need this more than anything else. This is why whenever you teach, you should always charge money. Because you will find out very quickly how badly somebody needs what it is you offer. But if you don't charge money, they will take it from you for free for the rest of your life. They will take everything from you and try and get as much from you as possible. But as soon as you put a dollar amount on it, you find out how serious somebody is about learning. So that's probably why this guy walked away from it, because it didn't cost him anything. He was just window shopping. And again, the point isn't to beat that guy up. The point is to tell you that this is how you need to live your life. Every moment, every single moment, you should be asking yourself, what is it that I need to give me joy? And sometimes there are days when I sit and think, what can I do with my business? And I've got emails I got to answer. And my spirit says, I need to go surfing. I need to go surfing. Take me out in the water. And so I'll put aside whatever I'm doing and I'll go surfing for 2 or 3 hours. Whatever your surfing is for you, whatever that is. If you're tired of working for Walmart and you want to start making money for yourself and you do runes anyway, become a rune reader. You don't have to take my certification. I seriously don't care if you take it or not. I'm just offering it. Go do it. Please go do it. Every time you go after what you truly want, even though it scares the hell out of you, and even though it's stupid and nobody supports you, you bring the rest of humanity up to the next level. And those that go with the attitude of, I'm just window shopping and nothing matters to me, don't realize that while they're trying to look good, out of fear of not exposing what they're afraid to make themselves look vulnerable, while they're pretending to look good with the false humility or the false ego, what's happening is not only are they bringing themselves down, they're bringing everybody else around down with them. And then people have to choose, do I want to be around this guy or not? And then you wonder why you're all by yourself or why you're surrounded by a bunch of losers. All right. Enough of that. So let's see, any more questions, and then we can let this go. Skyclad, let's see, where were we? Black Earth, oh, sorry. Skyclad Faye question, is this similar to what the Vitki did? I'm not sure I understand what you're asking. In fact, I have no idea what you're asking. Master in Midgard question, can you speak on the myth of Baldur's Dream? Not today. That would take a lot of time. I'm trying to wind down. Maybe later. Gremner Thomas. No, sorry. Okay, there it is. No more questions. We're done. If you want to learn how to do the kind of rune readings we've been doing, go to runecertification.thunderwizard.com. And if you want any of the other stuff, we've got qigong.thunderwizard.com if you want the most powerful energy practice in the universe as far as I know, except for stuff that I can only teach in person. Go to qigong.thunderwizard.com. Thunderwizard.com if you want to learn. People are asking questions about doing, how to create the thunder wheel and doing rituals. If you want to learn all about that, how to learn about shamanism from the, learn about shamanism from the ground up. Specific step-by-step questions, private videos, only for people that go to that website. Go to thunderwizard.com. Help me to get to my goal of 250 lower level subscribers. I can only, the other ones I can only take so many because that's my time. Continue to be thinking about how I can turn a lot of these things I teach into certification programs that other people can take and go and teach the same stuff and make good money. No reason why you can't be making as much money as I am or more. Go to michaelwilliamdenny.com if you want to see all of my books. If you want to see my videos, I believe, let me just check just to make sure. Videos. Let's see if it's this one. I have so many websites. Nope, it's not that one. Videos. Let's see. That's not my name. Let's see, is that right? That doesn't sound right either. But it is. To find all of my videos, you can go to, come back here. Videos. Oops. Actually, now that I think about it, I should make the other one that too. Videos.michaelwilliamdenny.com. So you can see all of my DVDs. If you want an astrological reading, go to astrology.thunderwizard.com. If you want to learn be certified in my kind of Vedic astrology, go to astrologycertification.thunderwizard.com. All right, that's it for me. I don't think there's any more questions. Nope, we're all done. Thank you, my friends, for coming onto the channel and watching what I'm doing here. Everybody remember to go to the gym and work out. And have a nice weekend. I'm probably not going to see you tomorrow, but maybe Sundays, if all is going well. And that's all for me today. Talk to you later, my beautiful friends.